it's really sad, and it's like there's lots of women out there whose lives have been spared, but it's only by the grace of God that their lives has been spared, and I thank God so much that He spared my life as well, because I do have a story to tell.
Yes, you do.
And to just help in any way that I can possible, because it's important.
It's really important.
Very important. You had mentioned earlier about how it has gotten now on the internet, and pornography is, you know, just out there like never before. But we have to realize there's nothing new under the sun.
No.
And prostitution started way back in the Bible days, way hundreds, thousands of years ago. And it has now gone from bad to worse.
I think so.
And it is truly addictive. There's little boys that are going on the internet and they're watching pornography, and they're wondering what's, you know, their parents are, what's wrong with them, or what's going on with them, and you know, what is their life going to be like as they grow older?
Stop giving them computers and stop giving them cell phones.
Well, you got to monitor them at least, you know, pay attention.
I mean, stop giving it to them.
My kids don't have a computer in their room.
They don't need one in their room.
Well, there's lots of parents that they have their children have computers in their room.
It's like a babysitter.
Well, not only that, it's like having a disaster waiting for your child.
Waiting for your child.
And you're not monitoring. It's like a babysitter for them. You don't want to be bothered, so let them do that.
Let the computer have at it with them.
Right.
It just makes me mad.
The day and time that we live in, you know, there's a lot of things that as parents these days, we need to be more responsible, and we really need to pay attention to what our children are doing and what they are watching.
Because if you don't, they're going to end up on a skid row and probably dead.
Exactly.
Because they can be drugged by these guys that are out there just waiting for them. Little, you know, just like, I just see them like little demons just waiting to grab a little girl.
Yeah, and how sad is that?
It's really sad. It's really very sad.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I was like 3 years old to 9 years old when I was molested by my stepdad. So I just heard that a friend of mine's son was also molested by this particular guy, Johnny, and that he molested his daughter, and he just got 30 years in prison.
Wow. Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Charlie, but
yeah, there was a young lady.
It's a shame that happened to him, but you can't do that to little kids.
Yeah. Yeah.
You can't do that. It ruins their whole life.
Yeah. In 30 years,
they'll never be the same. 30 years from now, she'll still remember it.
Right. There was a young lady that was like 19 years old, and my daughter was at church playing the drums, and she was like 13 years old, I think, at the time. And I was saying to her, you know, if you're not going to do it, I'm going to yell outside and say, who can play the drums? And so she was like in her mood. She didn't feel like it or whatever it was. And I said, okay, I'm going to yell outside and say, who can play the drums? So there was some young kids, teenagers outside, and they said, we play the drums. And I'm like, come on over here. So they came over, but I say this to say, there was a 19-year-old girl. At first, I thought she was a boy. She had on, you know, as they call them, the wife beater T-shirt.
Yeah,
and she had her big pants on and her hair cut in a bald fade. Just a beautiful girl. And you didn't really know that she was a girl till you got real close up to her.
Right.
But what she had shared with me was the reason why she is the way that she is because of what happened to her. And when she was around 7 years old, I think she said 5 years old, up until she was about 10, her stepfather would violently molest her, she'd hide under her bed, he'd snatch her from under her bed, she'd be kicking and screaming. And you know, and my heart goes out to anyone who is being taken advantage of like that and abused in such a brutal way. It's just wrong, and it needs to stop. It needs to stop.
You know what? I just wish that we could, every guy that ever touches a child in a sexual type manner, I wish we could just hang them up by their balls out in the middle of the town and say, this is what's going to happen to you if you do this.
You know, that would be a good idea, but you know what?
It's not going to happen in the world today.
Not in the world
today. But back
today.
in the Stone Ages it happened.
Yeah.
I bet it did.
Well, it's really unfortunate. And I just think that, You know, and then you have to look at also a lot of times people that molest have been molested,
Oh God,
and
yeah.
and
Oh
it,
yeah,
it's
yeah.
sort of like that
Well,
has
that's what
been
happened to
planted.
Charlie.
Mm,
Did you turn tricks in cars?
yes.
Okay. And what was that like? I mean, what did you think about that guy? I mean, didn't you think he was some kind of idiot?
Well, I'll tell you, the first week that I was brought out into that lifestyle, and it would mean when I say this, you'll probably say, "What on earth was wrong with you?" But
What?
that first week, I had the first guy. I'm chewing my gum, and I'm like, "Okay, honey, you have to pay before pleasure,"
Right,
you
right,
know.
right,
And
right,
so then, you know, he sits and he went and took his hand and, bam, hit me
Smacked you?
so hard. My head bammed up against the window.
Oh
and
my
I
gosh.
was like, oh, moving my jaw. I'm like, oh my God, I think my jaw's broke. I got out of the car. I was
Oh
all
my
spinning
goodness.
around.
What was he doing?
I don't know what that guy was doing.
Oh, he flipped out.
Yeah, I don't know what his problem. There's a form of abuse there. Then a
Oh,
few
God,
days
yes.
later, there was
Victim of
another
abuse.
guy that picks me up and takes me somewhere, and I'm like, no, you need to turn. You need to go this way,
Yeah,
because
but
I
you're
didn't
already
know
in the car
where
then.
I was.
Yeah.
And
Oh.
so he takes me out of the way, and then he pulls a knife out, and takes me wherever we were, somewhere
I
in
was raped
Minneapolis,
with a
and
knife.
you know, and he says, I said, what do you want? You can have all my
Yeah.
money. You can have, I don't want
Right.
your money. And I'm like, well, what do you want? You know, and he's like, I want you. Oh my God. My
Oh, my
whole
God.
life flashed before my
You
eyes.
figured you were going to be killed.
I thought that was the end of my life.
Oh,
I seen my little baby. I seen my parents. It was like, bye, you know, as they
Oh,
flashed
Lord.
before me. It was, and you know, he was, you know, but what I found out afterwards, you know, I got mad at him, and I can't remember how it all went, but I began to get really angry. And I told him, and I seen the knife on the dashboard, and I took it and I put it to him, and I said, "You are taking me back where you got me from."
That was good.
And you know what? He said, "Okay, okay."
Like a little girl. Yeah.
And
okay.
I looked, and I'm like, "What?"
You
know?
Big macho dude.
Yeah, and it was like he switched. He turned into this man that you just need. He wanted to be dominated in such a way that, or when I took that control, it reversed itself, and I was like, I really didn't get that. And then the second one was, or the third incident, and this is all in within a week. There was this bicycle gang that was out, and I remember the veterans, the older women that were out would say, be careful, there's some guys that are on a bicycle, and when you're in the car, you know, they'll come and say, do you have a light or do you have a cigarette or something? You better just go, go, go. So I'm sitting there, and you know, and then here comes this guy, and he's like, do you have a
lighter?
A light, and well, I'm like, no, you know, and so then it hit me. Oh, it's them. And I'm like, go, go, go.
Yeah, did
and
they
the
go?
guy is like, what? I'm like, oh, he was like so slow. Go.
dork.
Next thing you know, they opened the door, they snatched me out, and I jumped in, you know, because the window was down. I jumped into the
jumped
car.
in the window?
I jumped in the window. I held onto the steering wheel, and I am pulling myself back in this car for dear life as the guy's driving.
Oh my God.
But they're pulling my feet. And now the John's in the car, loosening my fingers off the steering wheel,
no.
and out the window I went.
Oh my gosh.
So yeah, so anyway.
Hit the pavement.
Yeah, and there was a whole nother story that happened with that, where they had took me, and we didn't want to have to do this to you, but we just wanted his money and this and that, and you know, it was really a week of horror. It was devastating, and you know, and I sit here today and I'm like, whatever possessed me to continue? I don't know if it was the thrill of the excitement, even though there was great fear.
I'm getting away with it.
You know,
maybe.
yeah, I don't know, but
And I think it was probably the money.
well, yeah, the money was it was fun, especially when you're.
Broke
it was
and you
just
get
different.
money.
It was just different. It was, you know, after I made the money, I was broke anyway.
Me too. Yeah, I spent it as fast as I made it.
Well, I had to give mine away, so you know.
Who'd you give it to?
I gave it to the pimp. I
gave mine too. Also,
so
to Johnny.
it's you know, but you know, I must say the guy was with, as crazy as it sounds, he was really nice. He really was a nice guy.
Good.
Maybe because I was the youngest, I did get a lot of favoritism, and I played on that as well a lot.
Yeah.
So but when it's all said and done, it's not the life that anyone should have to live, especially when you're young. We look at the economy today. Do you realize that people are going to do anything that they can, no matter how young or old, just to survive in this economy? And how are people going to be taking advantage of them when they're young? Or don't you need to feed your family, or whatever the case may be?
Well, yeah, but what we have to realize is that we can't let them go into that type of lifestyle.
So what do we do to stop it?
That's the thing. We get them help, we get them in housing, we get them educated, and we arrest the pimps and the johns. If we arrest the johns, there won't be any women working the streets or anywhere else, because there won't be any johns out there paying money for it. The minute a guy hands over a lot of money and a girl's standing there going, oh, well, maybe 10 minutes of my time for this few $100, and that's how it looks to them. But they don't realize that mentally what that's going to do to them, mentally and physically.
Yes.
Because it has a toll on you, believe me. I was in it for 13 years, and it took toll on me. And you see my physical being now is quite overweight, quite degenerative bone disease in my back. And I mean, these are all things I think related to that kind of business.
Lifestyle stress. And being here today, you know, my thing is that I really want to be that help. I've been there. I've had so many life experiences. I'm not one to judge anyone, because there's a reason why people do what they do. And you talk about love, truly love is an action word, and there's someone out there today that is crying. There's someone out there today that wants out. There's someone out there today that doesn't have anywhere to turn to or no one to talk to that understands them. But you know what? We're here. We're here to help. We're here to be that listening ear. Any way that we can help, we are there to help. And all we need for the people to do is be strong enough and find the courage within to pick up the phone and call.
She called me, and now we're sitting here having a chit-chat about beautiful way to change your life around, turn your life around. She became a minister. I mean, just think about, you were turning tricks in cars when you were young.
Yeah.
Young kid not knowing what's going on. And now, look where God took you.
You know, and it wasn't just the street. It started on the street.
Well, not just the street, I know, but I'm just saying.
I went
you
and
abused
had a
child and everything.
Yeah, it went from starting on the street to having a call service, to having a massage parlor, to, so I elevated, I graduated to different levels of the business, you know, and the type of people that I got connected with, you know, some that it's in the mafia that you know, had showed me so many different things in the life,
so many
you know,
crazy things.
And so, you know, one day I just got tired. And I grew up in the Catholic Church, and, you know, I just said, God, if you're really real, I need you to change my life. And next thing you know, he would send people to me, and you know, it was just that time. It was time for that change, and people need to be ready for that change. You know, I used to be a crack addict. I thank God I'm not that anymore. I think that women, as we take pride in ourselves, and sometimes we don't have that pride. We don't know who we are, and we are somebody special. We are somebody that is beautiful. That
deserves to be treated wonderful. And
yeah, God created in His own image. We're precious. We're beautiful flowers. We're delicate, and we need to be treated better than what we have been allowing ourselves to be treated.
Amen. Thank you for coming, and thank you for listening to us today. And make sure that you get a hold of us if you want to come and be on the show. Or if you would like to talk to me or look at my website, it's www.breakingmysilence.net. I didn't get a .com, it's .net. Thank you very much, and